Good morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News, where we rate AI articles essential, important, and optional. Today, I have John, Paul, Pankaj from our regular crew, and a special guest, analyst, Alden De Rosario from Custom GPT, who is the CEO of Custom GPT. Welcome, Alden.
Thanks for having me, Ludo.
You can follow the articles on gaiinsights.com/articles, and please let us know what you think and whether you agree or disagree with our ratings. Let's proceed to the first one, Ankash.
Sure, thanks, Luda. So the first one that we have for today comes from NVIDIA. NVIDIA has decided to invest $100 billion in OpenAI.
Yes, this is quite a serious investment and a well-anticipated relationship between OpenAI and NVIDIA. There were rumors going around about that. So what did you think about this, Alden?
So I shockingly think it's optional. Right now, the number might seem big because it's 100 billion, but in Silicon Valley these days, 1 trillion is the new billion. So they already had a good relationship. They will invest. They've already announced Target. There's so much of cross pollination, OpenAI, Oracle, Google. So from an enterprise perspective, I just could not see what the major difference is. It's another investment among the big players.
Yeah, this will, however, it would enable the tighter integration potentially with the hardware and a CUDA level that they haven't reached potentially. What do you think about this, John?
Yeah, I was, I thought it was important because, the ad leader needs to be aware of it. I hear you, Alden, about, a trillion is a new billion or whatever, but it's still a big number. It's a huge commitment. It's not as crazy as this sounds. It's not that big an investment in a $4.2 trillion market cap company. I mean, putting down $100 billion over a number of years to take one of their big customers forward makes a lot of sense. So I was going to rate it important.
Okay. Important from John. What did you think, Ankash?
I think important for me as well, Luda. So it's interesting, the news cycle for the past 2 weeks. So NVIDIA has decided to invest in OpenAI. OpenAI is buying compute from Oracle. Oracle is buying chips from NVIDIA. So this entire cycle sort of is interesting. But yeah, huge investment, as John mentioned. So important news.
Yeah, so for awareness, we're going important, Paul.
Yeah, let me make the case for essential. I think a couple different things. One, many of the executives have lived through the early PC days when Wintel was a dominant force in the industry. So that was Microsoft and Intel had disproportionate power in industry. And I think you're seeing the potential here with NVIDIA and OpenAI. Second, I think the OpenAI leader needs to be equipped for the skeptics. We shouldn't use OpenAI because they're wasting billions. They're not going to be around 2 or 3 years from now, and they're going to have a divorce from Microsoft, is one skeptics would say, and this is another way to buffer that. So I argue essential.
And you have agreements from the audience. You have Ashish with 100% essential. You have Ram saying that this is a huge signal out there that OpenAI is going to come a long way and enterprise adoption. So yeah, okay, essential it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the next one that we have for today comes from MIT, and it talks about a new tool which makes generative AI models more likely to create breakthrough materials.
Yeah, this is a summary article of the Nature article that is much longer and much more involved, where researchers explain why they trained this model specifically for this type of materials. What did you think about this, John?
Yeah, I was going to rate this important. Yeah, it's amazing when you look at this thing. The model generated over 10 million different materials candidates with lattices that might be useful for dealing with quantum computers, and this allowed them to really get down to a reasonable number of targets that they could actually create, and this could be very, very important. They came up with three new compounds that they think are promising for the containment of qubits, which would push forward, the advance of quantum computing, which could be huge, right? And so this general area, the reason I give it important rather than optional, because it's not day to day the AI leader, is to get them thinking about the fact that as we develop these models, they're going to eat entire areas of scientific understanding, and that's going to be very important. So right now we've kind of eaten all the language that sits on the planet that's available to the models, and now we're going to start to go into material science, which is another whole inventory of information and worth, right, and concepts and data, and those models are going to be very, very different when they come up from that, material science or the human body or proteomics and genetics, and it's going to allow for, I think we're going to see an acceleration of science like we've never seen before with these models, and this is this is an actual model that has been built. Once again, the MIT researchers are in the middle of it, and for those who don't know, MIT has a phenomenal material science group, and so I think and this the knock-on effects of this, whether it's I hope they can figure a way to suck carbon out of the air with some kind of catalyst, or the implications for quantum computing or the efficiency of batteries. I mean, every industrial process might be a target for new kinds of materials, and so I think this is really, really big news and not getting covered enough.
Yeah, and passionately from John on important. What did you think, Alden?
Yeah, even I think it's important, and mostly for the reason that John mentioned. Like a lot of the development, the cycles are getting compressed, and when cycle gets compressed, you get like exponential ability to do research, to come out with new things. So that's the big effect of AI. Just like what hardware computed about 10-15 years ago, like that, AI is compressing a lot of the cycles.
Yeah, it's a powerful example. What did you think, Ankash?
Important for me as well, Luda. I think John makes a very good case.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, going important.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we're going to see 18 months, everyday miracles on a text to video, which also had compressed cycles. I think we're going to start entering the same thing here. The material science and some of the biological things here were just an amazing set of algorithmic invention. And the other areas heretofore that we thought were way too complicated for computers really add value.
Yeah, and they are mastering the cycle of testing. They're selecting certain ones. They're testing it in the labs, testing them in the labs, and feeding back into the training of this model. So this loop will become more and more powerful for sure. Okay, important it is. Let's proceed, Ankash, to the next one, please.
Sure, thanks, Luda. So the next one comes from TechCrunch, and it talks about Silicon Valley betting big on environments to train AI agents.
Yeah, this is an interesting proposition because the agents are getting more complicated, and so you need a way to sharpen the RL to train them. What did you think about this, Ankash?
I think, John, Luda, this is an important development. Basically, what is being done is there are new RL environments being created to train AI agents. So these are simulated workspaces where AI agents can be trained on multi-step interactive tasks. Rather than the normal data set. So there was a news recently where Elon Musk had fired XAI's data annotation team, around 500 people, because they were all generic data annotators, and they are now hiring people from different backgrounds who are PhDs or experts in mathematics, physics, biology, and other areas. So basically, what they are now trying to do is to train these agents in expert environments where they can learn much harder tasks. Some of the new startups like Mechanize and Prime Intellect, they're also developing these environments, simulated environments, where AI agents can use software platforms like Salesforce or Workday and other platforms. So basically, I think this is an important step in graduation of AI agents from regular agents to more developed agents which can work with software systems. So I think any AI leader should understand that this is happening, and what can come from an AI agent perspective in the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay, so important from Ankash. What did you think about this, Alden?
Yeah, important too. You know, Silicon Valley goes on these trends, and every time there's a big player in the field, like a couple of months ago, it was cursor. So everybody would say, "I'm the cursor for donuts. I'm the cursor for coding. I'm the cursor for healthcare," right? Like that. From the success of Scale AI, the company that Mark Zuckerberg acquired and sucked the oxygen out of the room, right, comes this concept of RL environments, and you can see a lot of people now trying to standardize around that. RL environments for healthcare, RL environments for law, right? So it's a nice way of packaging it such that it can be standardized and moved into like production as such.
Right. So there's at the end of the article, there's an interesting question mark about whether this whole concept will scale RL and the environments, because to simulate such complexity is hard, and that's what the concern is about, whether this will actually scale. So going important here, John, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm bipolar on this thing. I don't know if it's optional or essential. The whole notion of reinforcement learning environments is critical. I mean, when you go back to like AlphaGo and AlphaFold, it was really the articulation of the reinforcement learning environments that helped with the breakthroughs of those models. And so, yeah, I think that's incredibly important. My my uh, my guess would be that these are not going to be as scalable as people expected. The signal in all that data is actually going to be context dependent. But I've been wrong before about how generalizable, the main models are. So, if you're an AI leader, do you need to know this? I don't know. I mean, reinforcement learning is a massive thing, but not a lot of people train models. So I was really schizophrenic on that. So I'll be happy if you do optional or essential. I'm very unhappy if you do important.
No, this is very true, because most of the people do not train models, and it's optional for them. And their big concerns that we juiced the reinforcement learning out pretty much completely. So it's not very useful in that sense, and environments are very difficult to create. So it might not be. It might be an optional thing, just a fluke. What did you think?
Yeah, sorry, Luda, if you don't mind, I'll give an assist to John here to push him in one of the two directions.
Okay, go.
And that assist would push him in the direction of making it essential. And here's why. Even though this is being called reinforcement learning, the concept can be adapted to actually do AI employee creation, right? And if you notice, one of the examples in the article is Mercor. Like Mercor was a recruiting company that was hiring AI engineers for OpenAI and Anthropic, right? But now they are talking about creating an environment where you can create AI employees. So that is a sort of thing, like even though we are getting hung up on reinforcement learning and machine learning stuff, the concept can be go at a higher level for AI employees. And if that can be done, now this becomes essential, because trust me, I myself want to create 400 AI employees and am severe constrained in my ability to do so. So that I want to give that little push to John to make this essential.
John, were you pushed? Aha. Okay. Ankash, what did you think?
It's important, Luda.
Important. Paul, I think I agree with John. We either go optional or essential. So what's your call here?
Luda, you have my votes. You have the chalk. Feel the power. I think this may be the first time we've ever seen John have not a strong opinion one way or the other. But
yeah, okay. I actually agree with Alden, pushing it into essential. This is something, so we need to make sure that these models deliver what we want them to deliver. Reinforcement learning is the mechanism to actually do that. And evals that will be very much in that environment is another mechanism to do that. So they're experimenting with the environments. The environments can be used for many things. It's a crowded space, but it's fundamentally critical for AI leaders to know about this development. So essential it is. Let's proceed, Ankash.
Sure, Luda. So the next one comes from Harvard Business Review, and it talks about AI-generated Workslop, whether it's destroying productivity or not.
Yes. Alden, what did you think about this Workslop, and have you noticed it in Custom GPT?
Custom GPT, probably no, but Workslop, definitely yes. Right? To give people a definition of Workslop, this is like sloppily generated spec or a sloppily generated article from either OpenAI or Claude that hasn't been fully vetted by the human to see if it covers all the bases. Right now, the place where slop is getting generated at an insane pace is actually coding. Right, you would have heard the vibe coding stuff going on, and somebody once joked recently that the biggest use of a software engineer going forward would be to maintain and clean up all the slop that vibe coding is creating.
Uh-oh.
A term that is going to become really important. And this brings me to also my previous thing, which I had said a couple of months ago, that AI makes smart people smarter and dumb people dumber, right? And so when AI is given in the hands of dumb people, it creates slop, right? And then gets pushed into production. So this is going to become a problem across the enterprise if the enterprise doesn't have the checks and balances to actually confirm that, like, AI generated slop doesn't get into like production processes.
So how did you rate it?
I would rate this important, and for like CIOs, this would become like essential.
So do you believe that a leader, CEO, can actually influence / control this slop?
Yes. Same way that a VP of engineering can control the code quality, right? A VP of engineering would never let a junior developer create code and like dump it into production. So like that, a CIO has to put in processes which say like, hey, if there is an AI generated output, what is the vetting process? What is the quality process for it? So yeah.
So you think this is a call to leaders to really look at this and see how they can put the controls in the environment to control this?
Yeah, absolutely. And if they don't do it, then it'll just come back to bite like every software bug or security bug.
Yeah, so I would suggest we consider essential. Okay, John?
Yeah, I'm essential on this one. I think this is something a leader can do. It's an emerging problem. I completely agree that technology is an amplifier. If you're a lousy manager, it'll put you in the ground faster. And I thought it was an interesting take, which is a very personal take in some of the data that says if you handle long slop, it decreases your credibility with your colleagues, which a lot of people care about. So I thought it was kind of a clever take by the Better Up people and the folks at Stanford to look at that particular variable. Yeah, and this is incredibly. This to me is the next level down of the notion of human in the loop. I mean, human in the loop is kind of doesn't really say much. This about having what the quality needs to be and how we think about quality and knowledge work and so forth, I think is vital. So I'd give this essential.
But this is not new, correct, Paul? I mean, there's sloppy people doing sloppy work all over the place.
Sure.
What did you think about this article?
You're on mute, my friend.
Yep.
Luda, I was with you. I love the term Workslop, but Alden, if you're letting slop get into production, you're a sloppy manager. So I didn't find this particularly interesting here. I do think it is another indication that we have to have leadership when we have teams of humans and teams of robots. It doesn't mean you can not have a leader who demands excellence from the team here. So
yeah, but it is a call. It is interesting because AI is introducing a new level of slop that sometimes is not visible until you dig into it.
Well, and I think the other thing is, we've been doing a lot of one-on-one training. The people who are coming in for the one-on-one training, they've got often have this binary thinking. AI is going to do everything. And just having them reinforce both as human in the loop and avoid work slop as a competent leader is an important message.
Yeah. Ankash, it seems like we are between optional and essential. What's your take?
I think it's essential, Luda. Workslop, I would say it's everywhere, not just in code. You read articles online, you can just figure out that it's written by AI, right? Even research papers now, they are being written by AI. So essential article for everyone.
Essential it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the next one that we have comes from OpenAI, and it's a case study about how school AI's lessons in building an AI platform that empowers teachers.
Yes. John, this is a topic I know very close to your heart. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm going to give this optional for our AI leader. I think it's it's the beginning of a conversation about the use of. I'm super happy that OpenAI is doing this. The notion of how to use AI not as the answer engine, but really as the engagement methodology, and having it integrated with the educator, dashboard and so forth. I mean, you've got this wonderful little GIF loop they have that shows how the students are doing and the assessment of the tool and so forth. I think industrial education has made us all poorer than tutoring education, and I think this is something where we can have tutoring at scale. Super important topic. Great to see them going into this. There's not a lot of detail in terms of how this is actually used and implementation. A lot of what kind of values it has underneath it. I mean, every educational process has an ethics underneath it. And so I think, as usual, OpenAI is ducking any of the complicated questions of education, but good on them. I'm glad to see them actually, create a model that educators can use. I mean, an add-on to the model that educators can use in a robust way and, can help education, but optional for our AI leader.
Okay, optional from John. Holden?
Yeah, I would keep this as important because it's such an important area, and OpenAI putting some weight into it definitely helps. And looking at the graphics here, they are covering all the aspects, like the study and learn aspect, the multi-language aspect, the preference settings, like see how they have like somebody's distressed, somebody's excited. So they're covering all the bases, and hopefully, OpenAI's weight behind it will create progress in this field, because this is one of the real important aspects.
Yeah,
Of
thank you, Holden. Paul?
Important.
Ankash?
Important for me, Luda.
Okay. let's mark it as important. I was going optional with John because I think it is interesting that this is used such a way. It's hugely important for society, hugely, but not important for AI leaders unless it's in the environments, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, Luda, is that, I mean, I'm not an expert in education, but I could play one on TV. This really ducks a lot of the, okay, what's your philosophy of education? What's your philosophy of learning? How does it get embodied? Why this modality? What research do we have on retention? I just, this is a typical kind of Sam Altman. Let's talk about a gigantic area and do it in kind of a sloppy way. Workslop. There you go. Anyway, so that's why I was going optional. But
yeah, same here. There's nobody to push me one or the other. Okay.
Important. You're feeling important. I can feel it.
Important it is. Let's proceed. Yeah.
Okay, the last one that we have for today comes from Alibaba, and they have launched the new model Qwen 3 Omni.
Yes, Ankash, what did you think? This is interesting. They put all of the modalities into this model, no conflict. What did you think? And they open sourced it.
Right, Luda. So this is an interesting launch from Alibaba, I would say. So this Qwen 3 Omni, it's a omni-modal model that, as Luda mentioned, so it can take in text, images, audio, and video, and it can output both text and audio. So there's no sort of trade-off between modalities. And as per their benchmarks, it seems to be good across the board rather than in any single modality. And as Luda mentioned, they have open source it. So there are three different variants. There is an instruct version, there is a thinking version, and a captioner version. And all are open source under the Apache 2.0 style license. I think where this is important is so it seems to be a step towards more general sort of unified AI agents, which can handle multiple input types in real time and also output in different modalities. So I think from an AI agent perspective, this seems to be an important development. So important for me, Luda.
Important for Ankash. Alden, what did you think?
Yeah, this is very interesting. Like, there have been other attempts at cross modality, and they somehow don't work well enough. So it'll be interesting to see if, like, this truly covers all the cases.
So you would go important or optional?
I would go optional until proven otherwise.
Yeah, it's a product announcement. And they don't talk about performance here. There's probably some other places that I just didn't dig enough. Ankash, did you get performance data?
Yes, Luda, they have shared benchmarks. They show that they are competitive with other models on majority of them, but then you can't trust their own reporting, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't tested it, so yeah. But Luda, it's interesting the velocity of these launches from Alibaba and Qwen, right? We saw an ASR model last week, then came the deep research tool that they launched. Then they have also launched something in text to speech area, and now this. And I follow some of them on Twitter, and they are saying that they will be launching another 10 things in this week. So incredible velocity of launches.
And I think they scheduled it, they planned it this way.
Right.
So absolutely interesting approach, strategic approach to marketing. Okay, what did you think about this, John?
Yeah, I was optional on this one.
Yep.
I think another product announcement, another new model. Alibaba continues to do important things, but optional.
Okay, going optional, Paul.
Yes, it is.
Okay, optional it is. All right. As Ankash prepares the scorecard, any announcements? The conference is sold out, huh, Paul?
Yeah, the conference is sold out. We're putting a wait list on the website. Second is we're super excited to announce that we're going to have a streaming option So Crystal, who's going to be working with us, is going to have a streaming option for the main room. So we have a main room and then 5 breakouts. So the main room will be streamed 9 to 5 Monday and Tuesday. So super excited about that. Third, we had a fantastic learning lab last night from Lucinda Lindy, who walked through evals and the different nuances from that. And that video is now posted on our YouTube channel.
Wonderful. So for today, we have 3 essentials. Woohoo! 2 important and 1 optional. Maybe this was a scope creep, but I think the articles were interesting. So thank you all for listening and participating very much. Crystal, Vivek, Ram, and others, they really thank you. And thank you, Alden, for joining. Appreciate your comments. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Alden.
Thanks.